From its founding, the Fatal Fury franchise has always been praised by its fans for its narrative-driven storytelling, with the central theme of that story being a tale of revenge and redemption between the Bogart and Howard families. Surrounding this primary plot are smaller subplots that flesh out the personalities of the roster and expand our understanding of the world where these stories are set. A great example of these subplots can be found in the arcade mode for one of the franchise's newest characters, Fox Reaper. Fox's story centers around his crusade to prove himself worthy of working for Kane Heinlein as the new Demon of Southtown. But that begs the question, what exactly is the Demon of Southtown? To put it simply, it's a title held by the top-ranking enforcer of Southtown's most prestigious and profitable crime family, the Howard Connection. As the name implies, the Howard Connection was first established by Geese Howard, the original crime lord kingpin of Southtown. It functions as a semi-legitimate business that allowed Geese to not only dominate the criminal underworld, but also the city's political infrastructure and most importantly, the police. But it never would have attained such success without the help of the very first demon of Southtown, the Tengu mask-wearing martial arts assassin, Mr. Karate. Back when Geese was still in the process of conquering the city, he was always looking to hire powerful fighters to bolster his ranks. One fighter in particular at the top of his list was a local master of Kyokugen-ryu karate named Takuma Zakazaki. Unfortunately for Geese, Takuma was an honorable warrior and a dedicated family man, so he declined the offer to join the Howard Connection. That is until Geese had his wife Ronette murdered and threatened to do the same to the Sakazaki children if Takuma refused to comply. Left with no other options, Takuma abandoned his family and became the Howard Connection's elite enforcer. To avoid bringing shame to his family, Takuma donned a Tengu mask to hide his face and assumed a new personality that became known as Mr. Karate. With the help of Mr. Karate, the Howard Connection cemented its control of Southtown by consolidating the city's criminal elements under a single banner. They even managed to force the city's other top kingpin, Mr. Big, into serving the Howard Connection as Geese's direct underling. However, Takuma's tenure as Southtown's demon came to an end shortly after this when he showed reservations about assassinating one of the city's top martial artists, a man named Jeff Bogart. This triggered Mr. Big to kidnap Takuma's now teenage daughter Yuri to use as leverage over the Syndicate's top assassin, setting off the events of the first Art of Fighting. By the end of that game, Takuma realizes that his family has grown strong enough to not be threatened by the Howard Connection anymore, allowing him to resign the Mr. Karate persona and rejoin his children. The next person to fill the role of Southtown Demon was arguably the best of them all. I'm of course talking about the bow staff wielding British bad boy for life, Geese's right-hand man, Billy Kane. How exactly Billy became Geese's right-hand man is a bit sketchy. In some circles, it's believed that Billy was a factory worker at a Howard Connection-owned facility until he went crazy one day and beat the crap biscuits out of all of his co-workers. According to this story, Geese was so impressed by Billy's fatal fury that he hired him on the spot as the new top-ranked enforcer. In other versions of the story, Geese took in a young orphan Billy along with his younger sister Lily and earned their trust by providing financial support for their medical bills in a random act of kindness. Which is actually not as random as you might think if you know the full history of Geese Howard, who probably saw a little bit of himself in the orphaned origins of young Billy, but that's a story for another video. I personally like to think that the truth is somewhere in the middle of these two legends. Regardless, Billy served as the Howard Connection's demon all the way up until Geese's demise at the hands of Terry Bogard in the canonical ending of Real Bout Fatal Fury. Billy's loyalty to the organization continued, however, all the way through the story of City of the Wolves, with him now serving as the guardian of the Howard Connection and even pledging his support for Kane Heinlein by the end of the game. So it's safe to say that whatever Geese did for Billy must have been really special, considering that it earned him the eternal loyalty of the British bad boy. If you really think about it, out of the entire Fatal Fury roster, I'm pretty sure that Billy was Geese's only true friend. Aside from Marie and Kine, Billy must have seen a side to the crime lord Kingpin that we as the audience rarely get to see, subtly implying that maybe Geese wasn't all bad. This less nefarious side of the Howard Connection starts to become more evident when we look at our next demon of Southtown, the darkest demon of them all, Grant. Geese's death left a power vacuum in Southtown's criminal underworld, which also diminished the stability that the Howard connection held over the rival gangs in the city. At the same time, Geese's stepbrother, Kane Heinlein, assumed control of the Howard connection in Second South and began a quest to reassert the crime family's dominance over both cities' criminal syndicates. But he wasn't alone in this adventure, because just like Geese, Kane had his own elite enforcer, a childhood companion named Abel. Abel was a master of dark karate, and much like Takuma Sakazaki, he prided himself as an honorable warrior. So to avoid bringing shame to his legacy, he donned a demon mask and adopted a new personality while working as Kane's right-hand man, calling himself Grant, the Martyr of Might. Working together, Kane and Grant consolidated control over Second Southtown by eliminating their rivals and establishing the Kane faction of the Howard Connection as a prestigious criminal organization by the end of Mark of the Wolves. Unfortunately, in City of the Wolves, it's revealed that Grant's suffering from an unknown illness that's slowly ending his life, prompting him to search out and train a replacement to serve as the new demon of Southtown, sort of like a superhero position. Which finally brings us to Vox Reaper, Grant's chosen successor to carry on the Elite Enforcer title. We don't know much about Vox's past, except for the fact that he worked for like a ninja assassin village, but considering that he lives in Southtown, it's safe to assume that he's probably an orphan, like most of the other prominent characters in this franchise. We also know that before he met Grant, he defeated everyone at Marco Rodriguez's karate dojo and then stole his sign, and then proceeded to defeat the city's most popular pro wrestler, Tizak. He also attempted to assassinate Kane, which was when he first met Grant, but as you'd expect, the whole incident made the head of Second South's Howard Connection a bit hesitant to hire the young Vox Reaper as his new enforcer. However, by the end of City of the Wolves, Vox is able to earn Kane's respect and proves his loyalty and combat prowess well enough to become the newest demon of Southtown. A role that he fits perfectly. In his ending, he effortlessly defends Kane's mansion like a top-notch bodyguard while simultaneously serving as an on-call butler. In conclusion, this brief analysis of the Southtown Demon and small look into the inner workings of the Howard crime family reveals that within the context of the world of Fatal Fury, not everything is as it seems. We can't deny that the Howard Connection is responsible for some extremely dastardly actions. Yuri's kidnapping, the murders of Jeff Bogart and Ronette Sakazaki, and countless other crimes can't be ignored. But on the flip side, the Howard Connection also ensures a level of stability for Southtown, and under the new direction of Kane Heinlein, it encourages individual empowerment within its populace. It's also responsible for much of the city's infrastructure, it manages the city's political institutions, and it keeps the more destructive elements of the city's criminal underworld controlled due in large part to the Southtown Demon. Given this new perspective, combined with the portrayals of the current members of the Howard Connection, it seems to me like the series could be going for a redemption of the Howard family and a reconciliation with the Bogart clan. We might even get a new villain someday. But we'll just have to wait and see where SNK decides to take the legend of the Hungry Wolf in another 30 years. Until then, all I can say is that City of the Wolves has some of the best and most consistent storytelling I've ever seen from the entire fighting game genre. It's gone above and beyond by adding new context to the traditions of the series while also moving the narrative forward in meaningful ways, all while maintaining relatable personalities for Fatal Fury's ever-expanding cast of characters. And as the internet's #1 Terry Bogard fangirl, it's my responsibility to cover it all. Anyway, whether I see you here in the comments, over in the Twitch chat, or someplace else across the Streamiverse, thank you so much for watching. Special thanks to the S-Class channel member, Rambo Robbie, for keeping the lights on in the studio. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, see ya! Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to like and subscribe.